Welcome to the Ben Buzz. I'm Benny King, and we had another very interesting week of college football. Now, going into it in my preview, I'd kind of thought it was going to be more of a dud of a week. Now, we did have some ranked matchups, but it was pretty much just like, man, if we don't have some setups for some trap games, if those end up being blowouts and end the way that maybe you say they're supposed to, it was going to be kind of a down week. But what we got here, it really is incredible. We got some incredible games, maybe the catch of the year, and we did still have some ranked matchups and incredible road environments, just crazy trap game scenarios, and that's kind of what next week will be like as well. But I mean, it really was a great week, and I was hoping that it would be, and some of these trap games did pay off. I mean, not the ones that you wouldn't expect. I mean, Ole Miss won by 50 against the Citadel. Like that one you could kind of expect, but I mean, there's a lot of teams on here that you wouldn't expect to upset some of these teams, and it's really going to be interesting as we break down the dilemma of the ACC, might not getting a playoff bid, some expert plays by Indiana down the stretch. Just a very interesting and really incredible week of college football as we start to really get into the trap game setup as we get closer and closer to the college football playoff. And once again, Jack will be joining the program to break down what was a really interesting week.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, sorry about whoever listening. We didn't make an episode last week. We just couldn't get a lot of the games because there's that whole YouTube TV and ESPN kind of still going through negotiations and stuff like that. But yeah, still a very great week, and every game, every matchup is just more playoff implications. Very exciting. So yeah.
Right. It's definitely a lot more interesting than we kind of expected. And, we make these types of videos usually every week and getting a little bit more on track, not only busy schedules, but of course it was tough to watch some of these games. But as always, try to make this type of content every week. So make sure to like, subscribe, bell icon, all that good stuff. And now let's get on to a really interesting set of games. Now, this was the marquee matchup. This was college game day. They went to Lubbock and Texas Tech. And we were kind of hoping that this one would be a better game. Now, going into this, Texas Tech has kind of turned other people's stadiums into their own. They went on the road at Utah earlier this year, and especially in the fourth quarter with their backup, they decimated them. And now they came back, and they were in their own stadium against BYU. I believe BYU was ranked 8th, Texas Tech was 9th when they played. And Texas Tech, I mean, they just walloped them. BYU didn't look prepared for this. Texas Tech was debuting some very cool uniforms, I should say. And they end up winning 29-7. And Jack, with Baron Morton on the field, they're undefeated. So Texas Tech looked very promising and look possibly a shoe-in for the college football playoff. They certainly have a great path to the Big 12 championship, better than anybody. So Texas Tech has got a great future. Tough loss for BYU, but it's only their first one. Both teams got great futures this year, Jack.
Yeah, they really do. And that Arizona State loss is really just an outlier for them. Arizona State's a great team when Leavitt is healthy.
Right.
But when Baron Morton is healthy, it's like this team is a different team. I know Hammond's out for the year, but Morton really just transforms this team into just insane. Like BYU had some struggles in the last couple of games, like with the Colorado, especially the Iowa State game and the Utah one in the Holy War. But like they won all those games in convincing fashion, especially the Iowa State game with being like down most of that game. So very impressive that one, but I was surprised just how like in control Texas Tech was of this game because they didn't have a point most of the game. It was not until like the third or fourth quarter where BYU finally scored their first points.
Right, and
they just had complete right, and you kind of agree with that because undefeated. They both had wins against Utah and undefeated in conference play too, but.
Yeah, the Arizona State lost for Texas Tech. So that's the only reason why they're really ahead.
Right.
And I know Texas Tech has looked better, but I mean, BYU had looked solid. This one, they just weren't ready for it and going into a really tough environment with a Texas Tech team that was certainly at full strength. But the good news for BYU is they beat Utah. Like they won the Holy War. Utah's kind of that third team in the Big 12. They're kind of just hoping for BYU or Texas Tech to kind of slip up so they can maybe squeak in because they don't control their own destiny really in getting to the playoff. Now, I thought their number 15 ranking for Utah was pretty generous. They should be pretty happy about that. But at the end of the day, if you don't want to get passed by them or Cincinnati, you just win out BYU. You control your own destiny. You got TCU at home. And then when you go on the road at number 22 Cincinnati, that could be a tough one. And then you host UCF. Honestly, these next two games for BYU are still pretty tough, but they still control their destiny, which a lot of teams can't say at this point in the year. So it was huge to still be undefeated. And like you said, they were close with Colorado. They had some tough outings where they managed to get a win. So now they're sitting in this situation where I don't know if you could say that they could drop a game, but they could drop a game and make it to the Big 12 championship and still have a chance for a playoff berth. So it was huge to have that kind of start that they did. I think it was just a tough matchup with Texas Tech, Jack, because when they're at full strength, they're tough to stop.
They really are. And the Big 12's just really great this year. I think even better than last year and could
Right.
possibly get multiple teams. It's a
Mhm.
lot different from last year because Iowa State and Arizona State made it to the championship. I think it's probably going to be either Utah, Texas Tech, or Texas Tech, BYU again.
Mhm.
And just great teams in there. You could even say
Right.
Cincy's one of those teams. But they did kind of lay
Mhm.
a goose egg against Utah. I just think Utah's
Right.
just a really hot team, and they're kind of peaking at the perfect moment right now. If they get a
Right.
bid in the college football playoff, I think they could really make
Mhm.
damage
Right.
because they just are really everything's clicking on all cylinders.
Mhm.
So they're just such a great team. But Big 12's this is what we thought the ACC would be this year,
Right.
is what the Big 12 is this year. So then we'll get into all that, but really great league, and
Mhm.
I hope we get multiple teams. I mean, we should
Mhm.
get. I hope Brigham Young should make it in, and Texas Tech. I think number 6 is a fair placement. I think that top
Mhm.
6 is pretty accurate to me.
Right.
But yeah, Texas Tech, such a great team, and this is a very dominant win. And there really has
Mhm.
every single one of their wins has been dominant. The only one that's been kind of close is
Right.
their loss to Arizona State. So
Right.
yeah, very interesting.
Right. And I mean, the Big 12 is so interesting. And with Utah, Kyle Whittingham could be his last season. Not too sure if that's really going to be his last one, but who knows? But those guys are going to really play their hearts out for him because any season of his could be his last. He's been there for a long time, one of the longer tenured coaches up there with guys like Kirk Ferentz at Iowa, which we'll get into later. But the Big 12 is really interesting. And this was kind of like a mid-season Big 12 championship where I was like, these are the top two teams. Like, one of these teams will probably come away with the Big 12 title. I would be surprised if it wasn't. And at this point, I'd be surprised if it wasn't Texas Tech. Because you look at the top three, it's BYU, it's Utah. What did Texas Tech do to those teams, Jack? They flattened them. So Texas Tech has kind of separated themselves, and they've kind of made themselves the front runner in that conference. So the Big 12, it's really gonna kind of come down to the wire, but BYU can't slip up. You beat TCU this week, then you beat Cincinnati, and you're in. Big 12 gonna be really interesting. Possible that they get 3 teams, Jack. I mean, Texas Tech, BYU, and then Utah doesn't have to go up that far to get in, Jack.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when the first rankings dropped that Utah was that high, and now they're still
Mhm.
top 15 team, which I love that. I love that they're actually getting some respect this year. And if they got
Mhm.
3 teams, I think they would definitely make some damage. I think these 2 teams are just so well coached, just a great team around them, and I think they could at least get a couple wins in there.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think the Big 12, they have to be really happy, Jack, about how the
Yeah.
CFP is treating them. I think they have to
Hmm.
feel really great about it because you're talking about a Big
Yeah.
12 team. It was considered like the orphanage of college football. It's like they got
Right.
Pac-12 teams. They get like teams like Houston and teams of that nature. UCF elevated from the Group of Five as they lose their blue
Cincy.
chip in Texas, and yeah, since as they lose
Right.
Texas and
Yeah.
Oklahoma, that were kind of their blue chips. But they have to feel pretty good about it because it felt like going into the season, all the narratives were just like, yeah, they're Power Four, but like, are they though? Like, it's pretty much just a Power Three.
Right.
Now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
the ACC is struggling to get one team in. Like, they might
Yeah.
not get one.
I
That's
know.
crazy to think about.
It's
And
crazy.
I know. And you really got to appreciate it because the AP definitely doesn't treat the Big 12 same as the CFP does because, like, Texas Tech is number 6. Now, when you look at the
Yeah.
CFP rankings, I agree with it. I think that might be as high as they could go. So I
Yeah.
appreciate them getting their due there. And they didn't drop BYU. I mean,
Hmm.
BYU's at 12, Utah's at 13. Like, Texas Tech, BYU, and Utah, Jack, they're ranked above any ACC team, any of them.
Yeah. Right.
So maybe we
Yeah.
should stop the narrative that the Big 12 isn't good. And it's like, oh, that's just where teams go when they can't find a conference. Like, maybe that is true. But you know what? That was really smart of them by rebuilding like that because you saw what kind of happened where the Pac-12 didn't have a backup plan when all their teams left. Everyone just said, yeah, we're out of here. Really smart move by the Big 12 to rebound like that. And it's really nice that they're having a great season. And I think they really got to be happy about how the CFP is treating them. And the Big 12 could really come to the wire as who knows? We'll see. But it was kind of
Yeah.
like going into the season, yeah, they'll just get one team and then, they're not going to get in that large
Right.
bid. But now all of a sudden they have a chance for 3 teams. The Big 12 is pretty deep, and we'll see how many end up in that college football playoff. Then number 2, Indiana. I mean, Indiana. We got to talk about it. Now they're 10-0. They're the only 10-0 team. Are only 9-0, but they'll get there eventually, I'm sure. But Indiana went on the road in Beaver Stadium at Penn State, Jack. Tough environment, and it looked like they were taking control of it for a while. I believe their biggest lead was 20-7, something of that nature. But then they fall apart. Penn State scores and scores and scores, and then all of a sudden, Penn State has a lead, and then Indiana has to punt, and then Penn State gets the first down. I stopped watching it. I did not think Indiana was going to find a way to win. And I mean, Jack, was that Fernando Mendoza's Heisman moment? I mean, the throws he made on that last drive, so incredible. And it felt like one after another. And it's like the catches kept getting better and better. And it's funny because I believe it was the throw to the tight end. And as you can see, I'm blanking on his name. It's like that one won't even be talked about because of what happened right after. But like so many incredible catches and crunch time plays. This is what good teams do. They find a way to win. And any win in November is a good win. It's tough to win in this month, as we know in college football. It's just like crunch time. And Indiana, Jack, I mean, you want to get into it? Man.
Yeah, for sure. This was a crazy game. One of the best of the weekend. You could say maybe the Vandy Auburn or the Oregon Iowa was as good, but this probably is the best game of the weekend. But this was insane. I mean, Indiana was ahead for most of this game.
Right.
And like you said, you thought it was over, but that when they kept scoring and then Mendoza threw that pick in his own territory, that was a crazy moment, and they took the lead. Just insane. I think this is, you could absolutely put him in that category of Heisman.
Right.
I still think Julian Sainz probably still there.
Right.
Chambliss probably it's probably those three guys. But yeah, crazy game. And that toe tap was one of the best catches I've ever seen. I don't even know how we give a lot of props to the ref on the field who knew how he even got his foot down and knew to call it the correct way.
I couldn't believe he called it good on the field. And he was in the way too. He had like to get out of the way, and like the amount of control and like discipline that Omar Cooper had on that play, because you see him, he's up in the air and he gets like possession, like he gets control of it so fast, and then he's purely focused on trying to drag those feet, and it looks like he tried to get the right one down, but it was too late, and then he sticks the left one back into it as the Penn State guy is trying to push him out of bounds. I mean, it was just so incredible, and it was kind of interesting because it felt like they got like that huge play, and it was Charlie Becker who had that huge catch, and somehow he ended up like getting his foot down as he was falling out of bounds. That was a huge play. And then first and goal, second and goal, nothing's going their way, and then it really almost felt like he was throwing it away, like he was throwing it out the back of the end zone to live another down. But Cooper goes up and snags it, and then somehow finds a way to drag his foot. And I mean, Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt had such an incredible call of this game. Like, I'm sick of people not like. I'm really confused why people don't like energetic commentators, like guys like Gus Johnson, the Hornets announcer Kevin Harlan. Like, I really appreciate when announcers, like, it really sounds like they care. And nothing against Al Michaels. I know he's a legend and I know he's aging, but like when you watch a great play and Al Michaels has to call, you're gonna tell me you're more hyped up than when Gus Johnson's doing it. But anyways, like, really incredible stuff from Omar Cooper. And I mean, Mendoza, I mean, he had struggled in this game. He had to pick in his own territory in the fourth, but he really made up for it in such a big way, Jack.
He really did. And Surratt, his number one wide receiver, was out this game, and Omar Cooper was kind of filling in. So even more impressive that he was even to do this. But this is what I want to see more from the Big Ten, you know? Like, a team with like a negative record, 3-6 Penn State, go in there and almost take down number 2 Indiana. This is kind of what we saw recently when Florida took on Georgia and almost took them down. Like, you see that all the time in the SEC. Like, Mississippi State almost took down Texas, or Kentucky almost took down Texas. You know, it's very competitive, and I wish we got more, because you never. Right, and you just don't see that a lot in the Big Ten. Like, you never see Maryland almost take down, or Rutgers, or UCLA.
Yeah,
you know, I just wish we saw that more. But yeah, the Big Ten just has so many teams in it now. Like, it's not as competitive as it once was. But I hope we see it more. But it's great that Penn State's really able to fight, even with the season that's pretty much dead. You know, like, there's so much talent on that roster. And you could say probably more talented than Indiana
the talent
is,
composite
but
is way better.
Indiana's season's very much alive. Right. And just, yeah, so many more 5-star athletes and just it's more athletic. But Indiana just has a better unit and a better
Mm-hmm.
team. So that's how they got the win. But yeah, such a great victory. And yeah, just really impressive from Indiana because
Mm-hmm.
if you looked at it, I mean, they were like really close from going fourth
I
and goal
know,
and just, it was just so
right? They almost
close.
picked
And
off on second down.
I was just surprised they were able to do it. Right. It's just insane adversity from this team to
Mm-hmm.
go down there.
Right. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
I know Penn State is having a really underachieving season. They didn't think that they were going to be this bad for sure. And there's no shame in losing to number 2 Indiana, but you really had this one. I mean, they're a 6-loss team, but they really don't feel like it. That's what's funny about them. Like the amount of money and the amount of talent that is put onto that team, you wouldn't think that they'd be a 6-loss team. And maybe you could say that similar thing with Florida, where it's like the talent is there. They're just losing games. And kind of Mississippi State, like they took Texas and Tennessee to overtime and lost both. Like that's what we would like to see more from the Big Ten, I think, is just to be a deeper conference because you hear that all the time. It's tough to win on the road in the SEC,
right.
but the reality is it's tough to win on the road
Mhm.
anywhere. It really is. And we'll see some of these trap games that
Right.
come up later that really is evident that it's just tough to go into a hostile environment in November in crunch time when it just means more and try to get a win. It just means more. That's the SEC slogan. I think it means more everywhere. But, you know, like college football
Right.
is that type of thing, like going on the road. And we'll see like Oregon struggled on the road, you know, stuff like that, where it really is difficult. And just any win in November, like every team is going to have a game like this. And it's better to not have a cupcake schedule and then end up in those tight game situations. You need these types of games to build character, to build confidence if you want to be a national championship contender. Now, do you think Indiana is still the type of team after this game? I don't know. I still think they're really good, and I think losses or close wins like this definitely build character for a team. And I think it's going to pay dividends when they get into the playoffs, Jack.
Yeah, for sure. I agree 100%. I think a win like this proves that you cannot just blow out teams like they have against, like recently, UCLA.
Mhm.
But to win like this just really is
Right.
just so great for this team. And I know, like, Signetti,
Mhm.
like halfway through the game's like, well, they've never played this team. I know Indiana's never won here before, Penn State, but they've never played this team.
Like Indiana's never
Like,
played here.
imagine if Indiana lost,
Yeah,
he would get destroyed on the internet for that. If he,
I know.
but it's just, it's crazy. So, but I'm really glad that
Mhm.
and I know some people don't like Cinderella story teams like these, like your Texas Techs this year, like your TCU's or your Tulanes, but it's just so
South Florida.
yeah, USF as well, yeah, or UCF in like
Hmm.
2018, like. I love
Right.
stories like that, and I wish we'd see more of it. Like, you don't just want the same blue bloods every year; it's going to get boring. Like, so it's just really great. I just love the parody this year, especially this year. It's just so interesting to see,
Right.
and yeah, I just love it.
Right. I do as well. And just in the month of November, it's really tough to get a win. And a lot of these teams really struggled, and some even lost. So just to get the win at all is huge. And I think this is just going to pay dividends in the future. And at the end of the day, Indiana, you still found a way to win in a tough environment against a team that has a lot of talent. And just the goal is get healthy, use these types of experiences to benefit you in the long run. Because when they got into situations like this, where they went into hostile environments, against teams that I know Penn State's record isn't good, but they're supposed to have more talent. You saw what happened last year. They caved against Ohio State. They caved against Notre Dame on the road. And I think they're a better team this year because they went to Kinnick Stadium and they gutted out one in the fourth. They went to Eugene and played in Autzen and played Oregon there. And they played really well, even better than they did against Iowa. Where it's just like they're becoming a better road team.
Mhm.
And you saw what they did against Illinois. They flattened them. And so we've seen what happens when they're at their peak, but when they're in tough games, in tough situations like this, they end up coming out the victor. This one was the most improbable, I'd say, out of all of them, but they find a way to win. And that's what good teams do. You got to find several different ways to win. You can't be one dimensional. You got to find ways to win these games in November. And as evidenced by some of these teams that lost and they gutted one out, somehow found a way to win. You know how much motivation and influence this is going to have on the rest of their season. So at the end of the day, Indiana, you just got to get healthy. I still think you're a national championship contender. You don't want close calls like this, but you take this and you learn from it if you want to contend for a possible national championship. Then Auburn, Jack, they went on the road at number 13 Vanderbilt. And this one was kind of supposed to be, I mean, it wasn't supposed to be like this for sure. And we talk about teams going on the road, how tough that is. But Vanderbilt was at home and was struggling against Auburn, who had just fired their coach and Hugh Freeze. And I know Auburn had the close just about everybody, but until they lost that game to Kentucky, they really performed poorly. This one just came out of nowhere where we say it's the year of the interim coach, and it's kind of hit or miss how teams respond when they're fired. It really came out of the cannon here. I was so surprised about this game, and then even more surprised during the game that Vanderbilt found a way to win. Once again, in November, you find a way to win. They beat Auburn in OT 45-30. Check.
Yeah, very great win for Vanderbilt, and they never usually win this type of game in their history, and this year is just so great for them, and I love that. But really keeps their playoff hopes alive that they were to win this game, because if they lose this, there's not like any likelihood that they're going to make it anywhere. So they had to have this game, and it's still not likely that they could even make the playoffs, because they kind of need Texas to drop a couple of games since they have the head-to-head against them and Oklahoma. But really great for Vanderbilt. I mean, Auburn was ahead most of this game. They had to really claw their way back, kind of like they did against Texas a week or two ago, where they were clawing their way back and almost came back with that onside kick. I know a lot of people said the refs were kind of helping Vanderbilt out there in that game. Like, that was clearly short for that 2-point conversion. But I know you saw that. Yeah, that was. But
they said the laces crossed.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I didn't see that, but very great win for Vanderbilt to just a fought victory, and yeah, very surprising. It is kind of hit or miss for how teams like UCLA is going to knock off Penn State or UAB is going to knock off Memphis, but they almost had one here, and it's this season's obviously a wash for Auburn, but very impressive that they're still able to contend. This is what I mean when like teams in the SEC just really are just so talented, or just able to contend, like Florida against Georgia, yeah, or Missouri against Vanderbilt, just Kentucky against Texas. Yeah, it's just it happens all the time, but that's great.
Right. And I mean, Diego Pavia is such a baller, Jack. I mean, he had just about 500 total yards in this game. Insane. 4 total touchdowns. Like, Pavia, he's continuing his Heisman case. It's kind of between him, Haynes King maybe, and then, of course, Julian Sain and Heisman Doza are kind of up there as well. But Diego Pavia, I mean, this is a great win. And I know you're at home, and I know maybe you shouldn't be as close with Auburn, but at the end of the day, you found a way to win. You found a lot of great things, and Pavia, I mean, he continues to have these great performances. And I know, like, they don't want to talk about it because it's Vanderbilt, but Pavia has been really excellent. And they had like a bad game really against Texas and Alabama, which are now, I think, they are both top 10 teams, which sounded surprising because after, week 1 or so, we didn't think that they'd be in that situation, but those are pretty good losses. And Vanderbilt, they're such an interesting team. They really are. And I was really hoping they would have beat Texas. And if they had woken up earlier in the game, maybe they would have. Arch really had a great game there. And Vanderbilt, I mean, coming off it, if they're 10-2, I mean, the AP's not giving them as much. AP is giving them more credit than the CFP is. They're at 14, but you look at where they're at 14, you'd think Texas, if they lose to some top 5 teams here coming up, they could lose twice and probably fall behind Vanderbilt. And you're just looking at like a few spots. If Oklahoma loses to Alabama, there's 2 more there. Maybe you move up to 12. You just need a few more. I think it's very possible that Vanderbilt ends up finding a way into the playoff, but I don't know. Kind of confused why we're giving 2-loss teams like Notre Dame a lot more credit than Vanderbilt when you could say maybe Vanderbilt has better wins. I don't know.
Or Oklahoma.
Or, I mean, Oklahoma's Tennessee win is pretty good, though. Auburn, but that didn't age well. Michigan's still a pretty good win for them, though.
Yeah.
So, I see what you're saying there, though. But Auburn, I mean, it's possible that we end up having playoff Vandy still. It's still possible. I think they do need to win out, and they need some things to happen, but they don't have to move up too far. Like, they could possibly do it. They just need some teams to mess up in front of them, but I think it's definitely possible, Jack.
I think so, too. Like, they need – I know a lot of people said, like, Texas needs – like, they could split the Georgia and A&M game and still have a chance to make it. I could see that, though, because the CFP and the AP, they both love Texas, and They have great wins. I mean, you look Oklahoma and Vandy; those are great wins.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't like it, of course, because I'm still not a fan of a 3-loss team. That's not a conference championship. I know Clemson made it last year as a 3-loss, but they were an ACC champ, and they had 2 teams last year, which is crazy to even think about. But I don't see that, and I don't see them winning against A&M or Georgia. I see them dropping both of those, even though they won against A&M, as is at home. Still think A&M is probably going to take that. So that's what Vandy really needs to happen is they need Oklahoma is probably going to lose against Alabama this next week, and they need Texas to drop those 2. I think it's possible. It really is. But yeah, I could see that, and it'd be great. It'd be a great story because I think they're a talented enough team to really make something happen in the playoffs. So yeah,
right. I definitely agree. And I mean, Diego Pavia is playing at an elite level. I think their defense is going to have to really lock in here because you're giving up 38 to Auburn. That's not great. They just gave up 34 to Texas, but they lock in the fourth quarter in that game. And their defense really showed out against LSU, where they held them to 24, which isn't great, but we had thought LSU's offense was going to be better. Oh, LSU crumbled so fast, by the way. Honestly shocking that they're just completely off the grid. And maybe we'll see who ends up getting the new coach. Maybe they end up bouncing back next season, but LSU is in a dump, so I think that kind of sucks. That Vanderbilt's win isn't that great. And then also their Missouri win, even though it was a good win, isn't going to be regarded too much because Purbulla got injured in that game, and then Texas A&M treated Missouri pretty poorly there, where they dominated this past Saturday. But honestly, I think Vandy has a great chance for a playoff push. And I mean, you win these games, you got to win them. You can't lose to Auburn like this. They found a way to win an OT, and I think it's like the Indiana game. It's like you need this to build character. Like you need these types of close game situations when you play teams that are better. And it's just a classic slap in the face where it's just like you can't take teams for granted. You can't look ahead of teams. I'm not saying they necessarily did that, but you'd think they'd be able to beat Auburn more convincingly. But I don't know. Vanderbilt just getting the win at all is huge in November, and they found a way to do it. And Vanderbilt still has a possible chance at a playoff berth. Then Wake Forest, Jack, they went on the road at number 20, Virginia. And I mean, Virginia, we had been saying this for weeks. We're just like waiting for Virginia to finally lose one of these close games. It's like they keep winning. Despite the level of competition, they play close every single time. They consistently play to the level of their opponent. But Wake Forest finally did it. They finally beat Virginia. Like, nobody could do it, it felt like. I know they have 2 losses, and they lost to NC State earlier this season, but it's just like, you win by a safety, you win 2 overtime games. Like, it's crazy. But Virginia finally falls to the Demon Deacons at home, Jack.
Yeah, this was, I mean, you could have kind of called it for an upset pick earlier this week, but because Wake Forest has beaten some great teams. I mean, they recently just beat SMU. But that loss against Florida State, they got destroyed by them last week. That kind of pushed them out. But this is what you don't want. You don't want a team that's already kind of eliminated like Wake Forest is. I mean, they're a great team, but they're kind of out of the CFP hunt after that loss to Florida State. Is kind of them kind of cannibalizing themselves in this league. Like SMU kind of did against Miami a couple weeks ago. Like Virginia did against Florida State earlier this year. Like that's what you just don't want. And this is how teams that are just and we'll get into the Louisville.
Cal did the Louisville.
Exactly. Yeah, this is not great for the league. It's not great for all these teams that are just losing to each other. And I mean, we knew it was going to happen. Exactly. Like, we just didn't know when. And this was one that you could have picked the Cal game. You could have picked the Louisville game, the Washington State game.
I did pick the Cal game.
Yeah. Or the Washington State game even. Like, it's just so many ones.
Oh,
it's insane. Yeah. And this is their first conference loss. I know, we keep saying that the NC State one didn't count, but yeah, this is just insane how close this ACC race is. And it still looks like Duke is the favorite, even though they just lost to UConn. But yeah, it's crazy.
It's weird. Yeah. Right. And I mean, you just can't lose this type of game. And it just really felt like they didn't show up. It's like when the other team only passes for 46 yards, like when their starting quarterback has that poor of a performance. I don't know how you lose like this. I mean, they just couldn't really get much going. And I mean, Kalen, he had 145, but like no touchdowns, just field goals, I guess. Very slow, very grimy game. And it just felt like we were waiting. We're like, yeah, but eventually Virginia's going to score and they're going to win by a point or like a few. But then it just didn't happen. It's kind of an anomaly. It kind of resembles the Broncos a little bit, where they come alive in the fourth and then all of a sudden win by like a point or two, and it's like they were losing like the whole game or they were playing so bad, but they just find a way to win close. But now like they just don't show up here. I don't know. I expected them to show up better. I mean, we just saw what Wake Forest did last week. Like you said, it was embarrassing. And then go on the road. And Virginia has been spotty, but I thought they would win this one. But yeah, I don't know. I was just we were kind of waiting. When is Virginia finally going to lose? Because it's going to catch up to them at some point, and it finally did. I was just surprised that they really didn't play well at all. And I'm surprised that even though they lost by 7 points, like they just struggled to get anything going and struggled to get any points on the board. I felt like if they had a better performance offensively, they would have won by like a point or two, but they really just didn't show up, Jack.
Yeah, they really didn't. And like these upsets recently, they're usually against a team that's home, but the one against Cal and the one against Wake Forest are both on the road. So it's just insane that they're both able to get that upset. Like the SMU one, they were at home against Miami. I guess you could say the Louisville, and that was at Miami. So these ACT teams are just ruining their own conference, really, by beating each other. It's crazy.
Right.
Yeah, and it's something you don't see in like the Big 12 this year or the Big 10. Like,
Right.
weird. I mentioned earlier they got 2 teams last year, and they might not even get one this year. It's crazy. This might be the first year we've ever gotten 2 G5 teams,
Right.
which is crazy to think about. So yeah, it's crazy. It's weird because like you would think earlier this year, like Florida State was top 10, Clemson was top 10. I mean, they were top 5 in the preseason, and even with lost to LSU and they beat Troy close, the Tech beat them, and that kind of ruins their season. Georgia Tech just lost to NC State,
Right.
and Louisville lost 2 games in overtime. They're not great in overtime. It's crazy. And then Florida State, they lost 4 straight. It's insane. You thought all these players that had a chance at CFB earlier in the season just completely drop off the map. And even Miami, they were a one team, and they lost 2. It's crazy, both in conference. It's just, and now that they're not even going to make it. We thought Miami was the best team in college football, and now they're just completely off the map. It's crazy how quickly this has just turned around for them. So yeah.
I know the ACC really is struggling, and it felt like it was going to be a comeback year for them, but then they almost swapped places with the Big 12 a little bit there. And I mean, we really thought they would be more competitive than this. And maybe you say like the conference as a whole is pretty competitive, but they continue to cannibalize themselves. And we're not even talking about like, oh, are they going to be able, like how many teams are they going to get in? It's like they're really just going to get lucky if they get one. It's all about where that team ends up being ranked, because if the Group of 5 champion, which they project now it's going to be USF, they would be in. And then James Madison is lurking to have that good loss to Louisville, which if Louisville ends up being the champion, I think they'll give them the nod over JMU. But like they've been pretty solid, and they could beat Southern Miss in that Sun Belt championship, and that would be a pretty good win. And then all of a sudden you say, oh, like JMU, they're 12-1. Well, we got to put the American champion. And you just wonder where it's going to be left with that last team. Is if Duke wins the ACC, I don't see how Duke is going to be ranked above JMU.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't see it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I know, like, I'm surprised Duke is favored because SMU, they still only have 1 conference loss. And Virginia, they only have 1. And so does Georgia Tech. But I guess they're looking ahead because Georgia Tech probably will drop a couple more because they have Pitt and they have Georgia at a neutral site. So I guess you could say Georgia Tech has the best chance for the ACC, but I really don't see them being ranked highly because they could. I mean, you could say they could split those games, but they're not beating Georgia. I really don't see it. Maybe if they were at home, that'd be great. Because I don't want ACC. I don't want ACC to miss the whole thing. I mean, that's so embarrassing.
I know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, this is the power conference.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, if you're a little confused why this is a discussion, because it's like, well, Miami's a top 15 team. They still should be fine if we're talking about conference championships. But the issue is that they have 2 losses in conference. That's the issue, is because we really value your conference record when it comes to getting to that championship game. So there's several teams that are above them that have several conference losses. Like they're not even top 5 in their own conference, despite being top 15 in the whole country. And it's just like they have an outside shot to even get there. So if you're thinking, well, Miami is going to go, it's going to be USF and Miami, like JMU's not going to rise up to 15. They're not going to jump Miami, but it doesn't matter because if they're not a conference champion, it doesn't matter. That's what's so funny about this because Miami only has 2 losses, but they're both in conference. So Duke, who is 4-1 in conference, who has 4 losses overall, is above Miami. Like, that's what's so crazy about this is that Duke has a way better chance of getting to that game than Miami does.
Right.
It's crazy.
And you could, even if they win out, like SMU is the head-to-head, and Georgia Tech only has 1 conference loss too. So all these other teams have a way better chance than Miami. It's just insane how quickly these. I mean, even they just beat Syracuse, but like that means nothing. That means it's just crazy. The damage has already been done. It's insane.
Right. Because you're looking at a scenario now where the cannibalism could continue because Pittsburgh plays Notre Dame this week. If they lose, then they're 7-3. If they beat Georgia Tech, then they're both 2-3 loss. And then if Georgia Tech loses to Georgia, then they're both 3 loss. And then you look at Virginia, they've been spotty. I don't know if they could win that ACC championship game. You look at all these teams, it's just their odds of just getting to that game is what's really funny because I think the ACC, not that they would root for it, but they might almost hope that there's a little cannibalism just to try and get Miami to that game because then they'd for sure get a team. But the problem is they can't even get there. It's so crazy, Jay.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, we'll have to see what happens. But this week in particular, and you could say like the Miami losing to SMU, but this week is just because before this week, you're like, oh, Louisville's going to make it easy. But then they lose to Cal in overtime. It's just insane. I just can't believe it.
Right.
Like Louisville, we had them top 10, and they just dropped that one. It's just insane because they were so impressive.
I know.
Yeah. Oof.
Right. Their best hope really is Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
What they need to do is that Georgia Tech is probably going to lose to Georgia. Yeah. They would have had it at home field. They would have had it in Georgia Tech Stadium, but they took the paycheck and moved it to the Falcon Stadium at Mercedes-Benz. They probably would have they're probably going, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done that. They didn't know they were going to have this good of a year. Probably would rather take that back, maybe. But Georgia Tech, you're thinking, well, they're at 16. They should be fine. They're 5-1 in conference. They have a great chance to get to that game. But it's just the Pittsburgh game is interesting, especially Pittsburgh that may be coming off a loss against Notre Dame. I would be surprised if they win. Hey, if Pittsburgh ends up winning, maybe Pittsburgh just goes on a run here. But not only do you say that, but then if they win that game, then they're 6-1 in conference, and then they play Georgia Tech, which has no bearing on their like conference record. So they could lose that one. So who knows? Maybe they'll even have not even their starters in because there's no point in playing because if they don't make the championship game, it doesn't matter. Because logistically, if they lose the ACC championship game, Jack, I don't see how they'd be able to move up into like the top 10 or whatever it ends up being the cutoff for the playoffs. So it's like, even if they get to that game, but then you're talking about they have to win that game. It doesn't matter. It's like, well, if they lose, they're a 10-2, ACC team, they're going to get jumped by JMU because they don't have that conference championship. If Duke or SMU hoist that title, do you have confidence that they're going to be ranked higher than JMU? Because you think Miami and Georgia Tech, but it's just like Miami probably won't even make it to that game because of their conference losses. And then if Georgia Tech doesn't win the game, it doesn't matter. It's actually so crazy that ACC could get none.
Right. And
it was a terrible week for the ACC.
It really was.
Yeah.
And SMU got in last year, even though they lost the championship. So it's just a complete reverse of what it was last year. And it's just a terrible week. I mean, they're just going to hope that Miami's ranked high enough and these teams still start to beat each other. Yeah, that's their only hope, really. Yeah.
Right. And then SMU plays Louisville at home. If they win that one, but then lose on the road to Cal, there could be even more chaos. Man.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see if these teams just keep splitting these games and just keep giving each other more losses because I think, you kind of say, well, James Madison deserves that spot, maybe, but the American Conference is so great, and, I think that's the deepest. And in terms of Group of 5 talent, they're kind of having a little bit of cannibalism themselves. I feel like that's the most talented. I don't think you get as much in the Sun Belt. I think it's kind of like you go James Madison, Southern Miss, maybe you say Troy's pretty solid, but there's not, any, crazy teams.
Right.
And I think an American team would be more competitive. Yeah. There's teams in that conference that have SEC wins.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. That's what I think is that they're going to give more credit to the American. But then if James Madison is 12-1, as long as it's not Louisville that they're up against, who ends up winning the ACC, I don't know. But ACC is really on a really interesting risk that they could end up getting no teams. And the Big 12 could end up getting 3 teams. just a really unfortunate year for them. And I mean, as we're talking about the ACC, Cal, like we've been talking about both of them, but Cal went on the road at number 19 Louisville and won in overtime. Now, Cal's been a spotty team. We thought they were pretty solid. They beat Minnesota, but then they just got dominated by San Diego State, which was kind of random. And they were like, okay, San Diego State's pretty good. And then they go on the road at Louisville and win in overtime 29-26. Louisville has really tough luck in these overtime games. They could be 9-0 right now. They could easily be 9-0 with these two overtime games. So, I mean, Louisville, it's tough because it felt like, okay, but they're number 10. Okay, they're going to start rising up. They're going to be fine. They're going to be in that ACC championship game. But now there's more chaos. And now they have a schedule to finish out. So the ACC is on fire, Jack.
They really are. And, like, we wouldn't even be talking about this if Louisville would have just won this game. I mean, the spread was like 19 points against Cal because they're at home, and Cal's not a great team. They had early in the year, we're like, they could go on a run because their schedule's not that tough. But then they lose that bad against, the Aztecs. And this is such a bad loss, and it just has huge playoff implications just for this league in general. But Louisville just does not have a lot of luck. And if they just even split one of these overtime games, I think it would have been okay for them in general just to have a bid in there. But it's gonna be really hard for Louisville because this is their second loss in conference. I don't even think there's a way they could get in. Really, they need the same luck as Miami. They just need teams to keep losing in conference to
Right. They've got tough games too.
They really do. And they just need like Georgia Tech to lose a couple. They probably need Pitt to lose a couple and Virginia too. Like it's a tough road ahead. So this is one you gotta have. And it's at home against a team that you're favored heavily against. This should be a good game. And Jeff Brom is great in these games.
Right.
So this was very surprising.
Right.
This is very surprising for me. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, this next week they're hosting Clemson. It's going to be a Friday game. Jack, Friday again. Friday continues to be chaos. So I'm sure they're looking at this. Oh my gosh. And then after that, they go on the road to SMU. And then they host Kentucky to finish out the year. Not only is that a rivalry game, but Kentucky is kind of on the up. They're probably going to win this week and be 5-5 and then lose to Vanderbilt. Kentucky is not only going to be like, this is a rivalry game, they're going to be playing for a bowl game. Like, Louisville is going to get their best punch. And that's not an ACC game. Louisville ends up being like the ACC pick regardless, and they lose that game. Like, it's just going to be another stain on it that doesn't affect their chances of getting into the championship game. So it's just like these ACC teams. I mean, it really is crazy how much the cannibalism could continue. Because I mean, Clemson. I mean, Friday. You don't want to play on Friday. Like, I mean, we saw what happened when Louisville played Miami on Friday. Nebraska played on Friday. Virginia and Florida State played on Friday. It's like Friday is a nightmare, Jack. It is an absolute nightmare for these trap games. So Louisville's close to the season. I mean, you just couldn't lose this game.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they would have been a one loss, probably top 10, and then maybe they fall back a little, but they wouldn't have enough to fall behind the Sun Belt champion or whatever it is. But then if they lose a few of these, they might not even get to that championship game. It might not even matter. And then you're putting up a team that might be a 5-loss team in Duke. I don't know. Crazy, Jack.
Insane. And the Arizona State TCU one. And we'll get into the Tulane Memphis game. Those were also on Fridays. So just it's always Friday trap game. It's so weird. But this is just it's crazy. And two conference losses. I really don't see them because they're already so low in the CFB now. They're number 20, and Virginia's 19. Like they've already got pushed down so far. So I really don't see them getting there. This is one you have to have both of those overtime games. Have a chance. And this team is really talented, so it's just crazy that they were able to drop this. And crazy.
Right. I mean, the ACC is just on fire as we continue to see cannibalism, and we were thinking, oh, like Florida State's on the up, Clemson's back, Miami's good, SMU was ranked. Like the first couple of weeks of the year really felt like it was going to be a bounce back for the ACC, but now they're scrambling and struggling to even get one team in the dance. Then, as we're talking about conference cannibalism, Jack, that's certainly been happening in the American. Tulane Green Wave, they just had a bad loss to UTSA. They go on the road at Memphis. And as you said, Friday games are a nightmare for trap games, it seems, because it didn't matter that Memphis was at home. I don't know what it is about the Friday slate, but Tulane went on the road, 38-32, played a really great game, and Tulane is rolling. And they just had that loss to UTSA, so then you worry about, the ACC championship. like the champion is going to be a 2-loss team at best, I would think. I mean, maybe Navy only has 1 loss, but they like in a conference, but they 2 losses overall. So it's like that could be iffy as well, where you start to be like, well, would they be a 3-loss champion in the American? Would they beat out, a Sun Belt team like James Madison only has 1 loss? So it's just Memphis was their best hope to really have that like, oh yeah, we're going to get this. Because then you worry about their team falling behind JMU. You don't even think about ACC, where it's just like, oh, like we could also be in shambles. But Memphis, you had to get this one, I think. And both of their losses felt like pretty preventable. Now, they did have games like Arkansas and South Florida that maybe they should have lost. So maybe they're lucky to be at the 8-2 situation that they are. But you can't lose against UAB with an interim coach. And then you can't lose at home to Tulane that just had a bad outing. But Tulane is pretty good. They're sneaky good, too. And this might be their last year with their coach. There's a lot of rumors that he's going to leave. But Tulane, Jack, in a Friday trap game, ends up going on the road and takes out Memphis.
Yeah, very impressive win to win on the road. Again, one of these upsets. But I do think Memphis probably had now they definitely don't have the best chance, but I think USF now has the best chance for an American team. But we'll see. I mean, Navy still only has, they've lost back-to-back against North Texas and now Notre Dame. But that's going to be a huge game, Navy versus USF. We'll have to see. That's going to have huge implications. I don't see USF losing that because they're so hot. Even that, this is just crazy when you think about these. I mean, American would be a shoo-in if they just didn't lose to UAB, Memphis, and then Tulane didn't lose to UTSA. These winnable games. That's the one thing that's stopping this conference to being a power conference, because I think the American is that good this year. I think there's so many great teams. You could say North Texas is also there. We're going to have them ranked probably just because they only have one USF team and they just put points on everyone. And Mestamaker's a really good quarterback, and they just blew out Navy, just like Notre Dame just did, and they're still only have 2 losses. But yeah, great win for Tulane. That's really put their season back on track. They still only have 1 conference loss, though. That one loss to Ole Miss was really not. It was okay. You're gonna have losses like that, like USF to Miami. You're gonna have outside conference losses like that. So, yeah, I still think USF probably has the best chance, but it looks like American is just, really, really just great this year. And yeah, I think they could. I would love if they got 2, but I think it looks like it is going to be James Madison. If you get 2 group of 5 teams in there, it's probably going to be James Madison and USF. But if Tulane made it, I think this team is talented enough to really hang with the best of them. I think going on the road at Ole Miss is just such a. I know we both picked Tulane to win that game just because they were so shaky against Arkansas and Kentucky. But I don't think that.
Ole Miss.
Come on, you got to pick the upset pick there because I don't know. We just like the American a lot just because it's a. I know this conference cannibalizes a lot. Like we get like the Big 12, a lot of teams leave, like Houston and Cincinnati. But this conference is still so good. There's a lot of bad teams.
SMU.
Yeah, there's still a lot of bad teams in this, like Charlotte and Tulsa and like FAU. Not a lot of great teams towards the bottom. But when you look at the top 4, North Texas, Navy, USF, Memphis, Tulane, like those top 5 are just so great. And you could really say it's probably better than the ACC this year. And you could probably put the best of the best. And I know USF lost that bad to Miami, but I think here's the question do you think USF could beat Miami now? I think it'd be closer.
I don't know.
Yeah.
The issue is that they went at Miami.
Right.
That's a tough place to play. And also Miami going into that one was so hot, and the games that they won were great, and they had the Notre Dame win. And then they watched like all the tape, like they saw everything USF did going into that one. So I think it would be closer. And also if you watch that game, there were certain penalties and stuff that really killed USF's momentum, where you said the final score maybe was indicative of the game. But I do think it would be closer. It's just it kind of looks bad for USF because at the time it was like, hey, we got a team that was in contention. They're the ones who blow us out. That's not bad. But then all of a sudden they're falling down so far, and then they won't even be in their conference championship game where it's like you got blown out by them. It's like, well, that's kind of unfortunate. I think it would be closer. I think Miami still wins the game, but I think USF is still great. I mean, USF probably has the best out-of-conference win in the AAC, I'd probably say, because, I mean, they won
Florida,
in the swamp at Florida. A really tough thing to do. And, I mean, you look at Georgia, Jack. Georgia barely gutted out that one against Florida, right? And that's at a neutral site, I believe. So they didn't win in the swamp.
and then
So
Texas
great win by USF there. And Texas.
got blown out by Florida at home as well. Yeah. So,
Right. I don't know if you say blown out. Yeah, I mean, the swamp is a really tough place to play, regardless of Florida's record, I feel like. And I just remember a few years ago.
Yeah, that game really wasn't that close. I know the score is closer than it kind of deceived that. But that Texas-Florida game wasn't really close. So very impressive for USF. Get that one out. But,
right.
Yeah, I still think, I don't know. If it's a neutral site, I think USF has a better chance. That loss against Memphis really doesn't look that great, especially with this loss against Tulane. But, yeah, I think if you're going to get two provides, it's probably just best in USF. But I would love to see the Green Wave make a run at that. So,
right. Yeah. I know, because I know Alex, the head coach for USF, is staying, but it's likely that Tulane's coach, it might be his last year. I mean, there's a lot of high-profile jobs that are going to throw a lot of money his way. So you'd think maybe it's their last run at this thing.
Yeah.
Maybe. But, I mean, teams like Memphis, like, that's the thing. In the American, like, they do have great teams. But as you said, like, as you get past, like, the first, like, 6 or something like that, like, the first 6 or 7 teams are pretty good, but you start to get closer to the bottom, and it's not great. And like you said, Charlotte, I mean, Tulsa barely got one out against an Oklahoma State team. And, like, you normally say, oh, you know, you won again against a Power 4 team. It's like Oklahoma State is, like, so bad. I wouldn't mind Oklahoma State getting back in the same conference with Oklahoma so we can get that Bedlam matchup back. But now you start to think, well, you know, what's the point? Because Oklahoma State is just going to lose by 50, but at least Oregon is keeping that up with Oregon State. Anyways, that's kind of off track. But yeah.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, the group of 5 is really going to be interesting, and the continuous cannibalism of this conference, because it was, I guess Memphis is going to be the team. They're a one-loss team, only lost to UAB. Great win against USF, but then they dropped this one. I think they could still certainly be in contention for it, but I think USF definitely has the leg up on them. They have a better win, and despite Memphis having the head-to-head, now Memphis has 2 conference losses. That's what's great about USF. They got that loss out of conference to Miami, which is nothing to sneeze at. But as we talk about conference cannibalism and Friday night trap games, very unfortunate for Memphis as they get caught at home against Tulane.
Like Tulane. I mean,
then as
Tulane beat Duke, who was like the best chance at the ACC right now. So that win's been looking better and better if they actually make it to that championship. So, yeah.
Right. Then we had Washington, and Washington's a really interesting team. I feel like they get caught on the road. I feel like they really struggle with the jet lag a lot more than some other teams, and they really get caught sleeping when they go on the road. Because you look at them, when they're like at home or like close to home, they haven't been bad, and their only loss like at home that was bad was Ohio State, but they were close for a lot of that game. There's nothing to sneeze at with Ohio State, but when they went on the road to Maryland, they were sleepwalking for like the first 3 quarters, somehow turn around and find a way to beat Maryland. And then they dominate Rutgers at home. Then they go on the road at Michigan, and it's kind of embarrassing, 7-24. And then they come back at home and beat Illinois. And then now, Jack, I mean, they go on the road cross country with the jet lag against a Wisconsin team, and they played terribly. I mean, 10-13 against a Wisconsin team that couldn't pass the ball at all. Really embarrassing game for them. And I mean, Devon Williams, I expect better from this Washington team, honestly. I mean, I know they suck going across country, but I mean, it's Wisconsin. They've been horrible. So really surprised with this one. I mean, didn't their punter have more passing yards? Really strange game.
Yeah, Wisconsin punter had the most passing yards on their team. And this was just a really gross game. And so surprising. I think this is probably going to be the best upset of the week for us when we get into that. But John West, number 91, had the most passing yards. He had 24 yards. And this was just an embarrassing loss for Washington. This has been a great season so far. And we've said it all year, this has been a great rebuild for them after DeBoer left for Alabama. This has been just great for them. And they've still been a great team. And they play so well at home. It's insane. They had multiple chances to beat Ohio State, the number 1 team. And that's insane. They had them make mistakes. And if they capitalize on those, That's a lot closer. And they throttled Illinois. It wasn't close. And Illinois beat teams like USC, and it's still a great team in the Big Ten.
Right.
So they just and when Oregon, I think Oregon, do they play at Husky State or is it at Autzen? I don't know. It's at,
They do. They do.
it's at Husky? Okay. Are
Mhm.
not great on the road. It's hard to play in Michigan at the big house, but that was not a great loss and kind of threw them out of the top 25. But that's not a great loss. That's not a bad team at all. They're still top 20. They have a real shot if they beat Ohio State to make it in the CFP. If they continue that streak they've had for the past 5 or so years. But that's not bad. But this one is just horrible. You can't lose this type of game. I mean, even like Oregon didn't beat Wisconsin by that bad. It was like 24-7. But that's still like, oh, you should have beat Wisconsin by more because like Iowa and Ohio State beat him by like it was like 34-0 and like 37-0. So those weren't close at all. But come on, you have to beat him by at least 20, and they lost by 3. It's just so deflating for this team. And we lived in Washington for a while, so we're kind of like closer to that, and we've had a lot of people that we're friends with that are Husky fans. So this is just really horrible because this completely destroys this season. Obviously, this is their 3rd loss, and it's against probably the worst team in the Big Ten, you could say. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I'm surprised Luke Fickell's probably staying there for another year. I saw, which is something I was kind of surprised with that they're kind of not getting rid of him. But man, I mean, great win for Wisconsin, obviously. Like to beat a top 25 team. I mean, you beat a top 25 team earlier than Iowa has. Like they haven't won one in about 4 years. So
don't bring it up.
Yeah. So this was great for Wisconsin, but just horrible for Washington because you can't lose this type of game. You just can't. You just can't this late into the year. Yeah. It's just it's not great.
Right. And it really felt like it's like, yeah, your road game is Wisconsin, but it's like Wisconsin had been so bad, and then you play Purdue at home, and then UCLA on the road. You don't have to travel too far for that one. It felt like it was pretty obvious. I'm like, yeah, they're going to go 9-2 and then play Oregon in Husky Stadium with a chance to make the playoff. But now this, I mean, like you said, this really just wrecks their season. Even a good loss, like Wisconsin is not good. As much as you want to say like the confidence or like the road environment, like even with the jet lag, you can't lose a game like this. And Washington just hasn't been the same when they go on the road. And I mean, you look at games like Maryland, it's like, well, they went on the road and Maryland was dominating for a while. Somehow Washington finds a way to win. But then Michigan, they really just didn't show up at all. And then this one, I mean, it's just so weird because Wisconsin couldn't do anything offensively. Like, Wisconsin is not a good team. You just can't lose this game, especially with CFB hopes on the line. And I would be surprised if they were ranked again. Unless they beat Oregon in their country, maybe they get in there. But this is just really embarrassing. It's like if they get through this one, it's like, well, out of all your road games, like between Wisconsin, like Washington, UCLA, and Oregon, out of all the teams that you would say, yeah, we'd want to like go cross country and play them, you'd say we'd rather go to Wisconsin. That's the one that you'd pick. And it really felt like they're kind of laughing stock. I mean, everybody's dominating Wisconsin. Even Iowa that hates offense usually, which they're kind of turning around this year, but they put up numbers on Wisconsin, and Wisconsin didn't score a point. Wisconsin was home, by the way. And then it's just like, it was really a great chance to win out up until that Oregon game with a shot. It's similar to what Michigan has the chance to do because they have the losses to Oklahoma. It's not great, but you'd think maybe they'd be able to go on a run and be 9-2 with a chance to beat Ohio State. And Washington had a great chance. I mean, Husky Stadium is a really tough place to play, and it felt like the gap between Oregon and Washington was a lot closer this season than last season. And it's just really embarrassing. You just can't lose right before you really, I mean, this was the easy part of their schedule because you play at home and then you go to UCLA. It's not too far. I think it's tough for these Big Ten teams, honestly, and especially Washington. I don't know what's up with them, but they just can't play on the road. It's really tough. I mean, you think about like this, what a lot of Big Ten teams don't have to go through. That's what sucks about this conference realignment is that they really suck going across
they really
country,
do. And USC going on the road to Illinois, they didn't play as good as they were up to that point. So yeah, these West Coast teams and USC most of the season hasn't played great across the country. Yeah, it's it's weird because
Right.
these teams are great, but that jet lag, that going across the country is just so deflating for them. But there's no
Mm-hmm.
excuse. All that there's no
Right.
excuse to lose to a team this bad.
Right.
And this usually electric offense is just
Mm-hmm.
completely stagnating against this team. So I mean, the biggest thing so far in this Wisconsin, like
Mm-hmm.
their biggest achievement was getting that fake punt against Ohio State. That was like the biggest thing for this Wisconsin team this year. And now they have even more to say. I mean, you
Right.
can't, yeah, you just can't lose this game. And
Mm-hmm.
this is just this sad because this this wrecks everything.
Right.
I think they
Definitely.
still at home still are gonna give Oregon their biggest punch, I think. So they definitely shouldn't overlook them.
Mhm. Right. I
But
agree.
yeah,
Like, yeah. Mhm. Right. And I mean, you can even look at Midwest teams that have had to go out west, and you look at Illinois and Michigan, what they ended up doing when Michigan went to the Coliseum. They fell so flat. When Illinois went to Washington, they fell so flat. And it's like Illinois, that was just the team that beat USC. Like Michigan, that's the team that dog walked Michigan. It's kind of dog walked Michigan, dog walked Washington at home, where it's just kind of unfortunate when those teams go all the way across the country. And that's what sucks about this realignment, especially because I mean, and you look at the SEC, you can kind of be like, okay, Oklahoma and Texas, that's not too far, and maybe like they do feel more like Big 12 teams, or whatever they want to say where they were, but it at least wasn't too far, and it wasn't like necessarily out of the cards, because I mean, it's not that far away, and that was kind of makes sense there. But I mean, this is just, I do like the addition of these teams, and it does give the Big Ten more recognition. It just sucks because not only did the Pac-12 die, but then these teams really struggle in these road environments. And it's like, you're playing at noon. You just came across the country. It really isn't fair. It's why I kind of like, even though it didn't give my Iowa Hawkeyes the best chance, I like that they bumped the Oregon Iowa game down to 3:30, because I mean, you can't expect these guys. I mean, it's way too early for them to try and go and play a football game. Like, they just flew so much. So yeah, honestly, all in all, I really do like enjoy the new alignment, but it sucks because Pac-12's gone, and it sucks because these teams really fall flat on the road. And Washington really had a chance to do something this season; they really did, and it just didn't end up working out. I mean, it's just a really tough attempt to try to go across the country like this. And regardless, I don't think there's an excuse for this
yeah,
performance. At the end of the day, I don't think there is. Not only did you fall flat so much, and I know you've fallen flat before, but it's like that was number 18 Michigan. This is Wisconsin. Wisconsin is not good. It was completely uncalled for. You can't do this. This is completely, I mean, you just can't defend this game. And as much as I want to say, oh, they went across country, oh, they're not good on the road, it's like all that is true. But at the end of the day, Wisconsin is not good, and you can't find a way to lose this game if you're Washington. Now, as we can do our weekly awards, Jack, who do you think had the best offense this week? There's some interesting contenders, but I think you could definitely go certain ways. What are
yeah.
you thinking?
I think definitely not Wisconsin and
Mm-hmm.
Washington
Right.
for
Big
sure.
Ten
And
football, Jack.
like
All
teams
Big
like
Ten.
Oregon, exactly. Exactly. Teams like Oregon, we would have thought would have had a better passing day. Really played Iowa's game, and so they definitely didn't have a great day
Right.
on offense. I think you could probably go Ole Miss, probably,
Yeah.
but that's not great competition. I think probably Texas
Mm.
Tech to put 29 on a top 10 team like that.
Mhm.
Really impressive, and Baron Morton just so
Right.
impressive. Yeah,
Right. I was thinking about Vanderbilt as well, because you're talking about Diego Pavia, Jack. I mean, just about 500 total yards and 4 touchdowns. Like, they were going crazy out there in Vanderbilt against a very hungry Auburn team. Auburn gave them all they can handle. Very excellent overtime game, and Vanderbilt had to continue to answer the bell, and they saved their season with that game. So I'm kind of leaning towards Vanderbilt there.
yeah, yeah. I agree. That's an overtime
Mm-hmm.
game, extremely impressive, and that kind of keeps his Heisman hopes alive. So yeah.
Right. Now, what do you think had the best defense?
Oh, this is tough. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
probably probably Wisconsin, honestly. If you because Washington's a great offensive team, and
Yeah.
to hold them to only 10 points, and they just really didn't have a great day. And they're a ranked team, so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna go Wisconsin here.
Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I mean, Wisconsin, I mean, that was just such an ugly game, and I think that's definitely a good one. I don't know. I feel like it wasn't the best week for defenses. And I mean, it's just a lot of the results are kind of predictable. It's like, no kidding, Notre Dame beat Navy by 40. That's just what's going to happen. Where I think you're definitely on the right track. I think I do go them as well. It's just kind of tough to really gauge this because a lot of teams didn't really play great competition. So like, yeah, Ole Miss, yeah, I'd go Ole Miss. They didn't allow a point. They won by 50. It's like, yeah, it's a Citadel. So yeah, I go Wisconsin as well. And to beat a ranked team like that, very impressive for them. And it really just saved their coach's job. I mean, they were going to keep him anyway, but I mean, this definitely gives them a lot more confidence in him to get a ranked win quicker than some team in the Big Ten that should have one. But yeah, great game by them. And I mean, just the fact that their punter, just the fact that they were so atrocious on offense, and the fact that they really needed every defensive possession that they were able to get. That's what's really the takeaway for them. So it kind of gives them the edge there. What team do you think had the best uniforms this week, Jack?
I think I'd be remiss not to mention last week that Tennessee, those blackout uniforms, those had to be the best of last week when they went against Oklahoma. We didn't make an episode on it, but those are absolutely, we could agree on that.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that.
Yeah, those black and orange Halloween Tennessee ones, those are just so clean, so clean. But this week,
Right.
I think it's Texas Tech. I think those white out with the
Right.
silver lettering, gotta be. I think
Right.
TCU against Iowa State with those red ones, really clean. I don't know if you saw those, but those are in the mix as well. But Texas Tech, I think, just I don't know. I've never seen those uniforms, and they're just so clean. Yeah.
Right. It's such a power move wearing white at home as well with an alt like
Yeah.
that. It just really looked great.
Right.
And I mean, Texas Tech, I really have liked their uniforms, and we've discussed on the show in the past Texas Tech new logo. So we'll see how that ends up being reflected in the jerseys or whatever the case may be. I don't know. It might just be a logo change. But anyways, it was a very interesting approach to it, especially in such a game like this to wear white at home and BYU. I mean, it was just a really hostile environment to begin with. But Texas Tech, when they came out in those, I was just like, I thought it was BYU at first. Like, Texas Tech looks so great in those uniforms, and that was definitely the best this week. I think you're definitely correct in that. I agree. Then what do you think was the best upset this week, Jack?
I think, well, you could go Wake Forest beating Virginia. You could go Cal beating Louisville. Those are definitely great options, but it's got to be Wisconsin again. As bad as their season has been, as bad as it has been, I think they started 2-0, and then that Alabama loss completely ruined everything for them, and they hadn't won a game since. They're definitely not going to be bowl eligible. That kind of ruined their season, but this one really is just really impressive win. Beat Washington. So, yeah, I got to go with them.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one. Now, I kind of chalked that up. Like, obviously, it's ridiculous that Washington played that poorly. That they were going cross country, that type of performance when they go across the country, no matter the level of opponent, apparently. And then Virginia getting upsetted. They've been close with everybody. We were just kind of waiting for a team to beat them. So I go Cal here. Cal went on the road against the Louisville team that we thought was top 10, Jack, and they gutted one out in overtime just after they had a loss where they really could have beat Virginia. Like, Cal's season has really been up and down, like we were saying earlier. Like, they had a really interesting performance where they just didn't show up to play a group of 5 team in San Diego State. And right after they had won a game against Minnesota, like, Cal has been so weird this year. I mean, they've been barely beating teams like Boston College and UNC, and then they got dominated by Duke. Like, Cal has been really on the road, and we thought it was top 10, and they end up finding a way to win 29-26 in overtime. It's a very electric game right after they really should have had a great chance at an upset, and they almost pulled it off against Virginia. So I got to go Cal there.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Yeah, either or, I think. Those are great picks. So.
Right. Now, as we get into it, who do you think responded the best from a loss here?
Probably
right.
Vanderbilt after losing to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great response to kind of keep their hopes alive.
Right. You could also
Auburn
there.
Cal. I think, yeah.
Because they're coming off of that heartbreaking loss to Virginia where they threw a pick six to end it, where they had a drive. They really could have either tied or take the lead. They went on the road Louisville. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm going Cal for these. I don't know, but I like Cal on that one too. So yeah, I mean Vanderbilt is just the fact that they played an Auburn team. I don't know. I think you could go either way for sure. Once
Okay.
again, but yeah, I do like that Vanderbilt pick. But I think you go Vanderbilt or Louisville, Vanderbilt or California. I feel like it's kind of take your pick. So yeah, I agree with you there. Who do you think had the worst response to a loss here?
LSU, you could say.
Right.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah,
go
I
with
suppose. But I mean
yeah, go with
LSU. I mean
LSU.
they died, so anything was going to be better.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean there's
Hmm.
not a lot of great. So you could really go a lot of different ways. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, LSU, yeah, I mean, the way their season has just crumbled and it just keeps getting worse, and then you lose to a rival Alabama. I think that's a good pick, but honestly, you could just pick just about everyone here because, I mean, there's not a lot of great teams that lost back to back. So, yeah, I think you'd probably just have to go them at the end of the day. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I think that's a good pick. And now, who do you think gets the recency bias award, Jack? Who's been the best over the course of the past 2 weeks?
I think you could probably go with Texas A&M as one, Georgia
Mm-hmm.
as one. They just throttled Florida and then Mississippi State. I think
Right.
mm, I'll go with Texas A&M just to beat LSU and then beat Missouri, both on the
Mm-hmm.
road. Those are very, I don't know, those are impressive to me.
Right.
And they've
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah, that's a
we'll
good
see
one.
when we do our
Yeah.
rankings, but I think they're, I know everyone says Indiana's still above them, but I would actually make Texas A&M jump to number two there. I think they're, yeah.
Yeah, I would as
Hmm.
well. Mhm. Right. Indiana's just look more suspect. Nothing against
No, yeah.
Indiana. Right. And now we get to our best team of every single amount of losses. Now we had kind of the toilet bowl where we had a huge match between Oregon State and Sam Houston. It felt like whoever lost that game was kind of going to end up in that kind of category. But I mean, when we start with 9 loss, I mean, where are you going here, Jack? Are you thinking Boston College? Where do you go for 9 loss here?
Yeah, I'll go with Boston College because they were closer with Notre Dame, which was um, kind
Mm-hmm.
of surprising to me. But yeah, I think you got to go there. I don't know if you saw that one Bill O'Brien interview. That was
Mm-hmm.
that was really good. That goes in the Hall of Fame where he snapped at a reporter. That was really funny. But yeah, I think you got to go
Mm-hmm.
with them because Oregon State's also with 9 losses, but
Mm-hmm.
they
I think Oregon State
well
has
they had
8
seven before.
actually.
So
Um. Yeah.
yeah, but
Oh, yeah. They do
either
have it.
way, I would take uh, Boston College over them. Yeah.
Right. And then I'll take a step back real quick because I didn't realize there would be a team with 10 losses at this point in the year. Just crazy that this team has died. Be remiss if we didn't mention UMass,
Oh,
Jack.
yes.
They've been dominant in this category. 0 and
The only
10.
winless team.
And they've had games that they should have
Yeah,
won.
like that one against
Right.
Buffalo.
0 and 10. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was happy. Yeah, my Bulls were able to win that one. But yeah, UMass, I mean, 10 losses is bad, but they're definitely the best 10-loss team. Like, no one's done it better. So, got to go UMass there
Yeah.
for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah.
UMass at 10, and then Boston
Right.
College at 9, and
Right.
then
Where do you go for 8-loss team? This one's where you get a lot more competition because you got Oregon State is a pretty good
Sam Houston.
contender, but I mean you got other ones. Sam Houston, yeah, I mean they just got a big win. Georgia State, but they're not good. So yeah,
I think
I
I'll go
don't know.
Sam.
None of these teams
No,
are
no, no.
good.
I don't
Yeah.
go Sam Houston because they beat Oregon State, which was just impressive. I think it just shows how bad Oregon State is this year. It's yeah, really, really
Hmm.
not great. So I'll go with Sam Houston. The Bearcats. Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna go Purdue here
Purdue has it. Okay.
as an 8-loss team. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean they haven't been good, but I mean they just went into the Big House at Michigan and only lost by 5. They haven't been like super atrocious. They barely lost to Rutgers, barely lost to Minnesota. I mean, got killed by Notre Dame, but I mean that was a Notre Dame team that had just gone 0-2. They took everything out on Purdue. So, and they weren't even terrible against Illinois. And I know they just lost to Ohio State, but they do have 2 wins. So I go Purdue here, but I mean they're not great. But yeah, I mean you look at a Ball State team. Ball State has had some good wins in the MAC. Ball State isn't a terrible team. Purdue beat them 31-0. So I'm going Purdue for 8 loss
Okay.
teams there,
Yeah,
Jack.
good pick. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a sleeper.
Yeah.
Yep. Right. Yep. What are you thinking for 7 loss teams, Jack? You could maybe go Colorado. You know, there's certain ways you could go. You go Syracuse. Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Tulsa.
I'll go Syracuse just because that win. Clemson is just surprising how many times Clemson has lost, but they throttled Clemson on the road there. So I still think
Right.
that's very impressive. So yeah, they're not a great team, of course, but yeah, I'll go with Syracuse for 7.
Right. Well, you could also go Arkansas. I might go Arkansas here.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah.
think I would still take because they.
Arkansas lost on the road against Tennessee 34-31.
Yeah,
And then they lost to Texas 42-45. Like they've been
they have.
competitive.
Yeah,
So
then they kind of got killed by
against
Auburn,
like
and then
ranked teams, like that's number 3 team in the nation that we think is probably number 2.
right.
I don't know.
Yeah,
And they should have beat Memphis. Who's one of the big contenders.
you're right.
And Jack 35-41 against number 6 Ole Miss.
You're right.
They've got a lot of good losses.
That's
So
yeah.
I go Arkansas State here.
Okay. You mean not Arkansas State?
I mean, right.
Yeah, yeah. I think you're right. Actually,
Right.
I didn't
No.
know. Yeah, I'll go Arkansas. I think actually, yeah, their resume is definitely better than Syracuse's. Yeah, I guess Syracuse is a better win, but
Yeah.
yeah,
But Arkansas has been competitive with really good teams at
yeah,
times.
yeah.
So
You're right.
yeah.
You're right.
Right. Yeah. I know I am. What are you thinking for 6 loss teams, Jack? I mean, this is where we start to get in. You could really start mentioning SEC teams. South Carolina, Auburn, and Florida, all with 6 losses. But I mean, there's a lot of different
Right.
ways you could go here. What are you thinking for 6
Yeah,
teams? Even like Penn
I'm gonna
State,
go with
I'd
Penn
say as well.
State.
So,
I still think
all
they're
right, yeah,
just so talented. They really showed it this week, and being close with teams like Iowa recently, that was very impressive to almost beat them on the road. So yeah, and they almost
right,
should have had this Indiana game. So yeah, I'm gonna go with them.
right. I agree with you
Yeah,
actually. I mean, Penn State. I mean, you look at their losses. Like, I mean, they've been competitive against some really good teams. Like, they really should have a conference win. It's actually kind of sad the way that Penn State's season has kind of turned out. I think you could definitely say that they're a lot better than their record, but it's just the way that everything fell apart so quickly for them, and the way like the coach is fired, and then immediately their quarterback got hurt right before that, where it's just like they were competitive against Indiana, who was number 2 in the country, and they went on the road at the number 1 team in the country and was close for a half, 14-17. They were pretty solid in that one. Probably should have beat Iowa because Iowa was making some dumb mistakes, but Iowa found a way to win that one. It's just like Northwestern by a point. UCLA on the road, tough trap game. Oregon in double overtime. Where it's just like you can kind of understand some of these games, like they're not losing to really bad teams. So I think Penn State is a good pick for them. It's just crazy to think that they're in the category, like high and mighty Penn State is in the category for best 6-loss team. It's crazy,
yeah,
Jack.
it is. It really is. Yeah, it's insane because they're
Right.
3-0 and that's their sixth straight. It's
Mm-hmm.
insane of all they've fallen.
Right. I know. What are you thinking for 5-loss teams, Jack? Maryland, Rutgers could be contenders. I mean, could go across the board. I mean, what are you thinking for 5-loss teams here?
I think I'm still gonna go Mississippi State. I think Kentucky's also one you could go with, but Mississippi State has showed because they just barely beat Arkansas, which was surprising. That Arkansas, we really thought when they were closer with Tennessee and Texas A&M, you thought they would beat like us teams like Auburn or Mississippi State, but they couldn't even win any of those.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Mississippi State
Right.
still impressive. This season should not have been like this. I feel like if they just finished those games out with Tennessee and Texas, they just this season
Mm-hmm.
would not have been like this, and those fans deserve a successful season. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Right. Right. Yeah, I'm definitely on the same track as you. Where I mean, you take a team like Tennessee and you take a team like Texas to overtime and games, especially the Texas one. They should have won. They shouldn't have ended up in overtime. I don't know how Mississippi State sold that one so hard. I mean, I watched it and I still am so confused how they managed to do that. And then if you know about the game management and like the clock management that happened in the Florida game, discussing how they mismanaged that one, they probably should have beat
Ugh,
Florida. And then Arkansas, and it just sucks because this team started 4-0. You
yeah.
think, oh, if they just get 2 SEC wins, they'll be fine. But they beat Arkansas, and then you look at these last 2 games, Jack. They're 5-5. They go on the road to Missouri, that's injury riddled with Prebula out, and then they host number 6 Ole Miss. Do you think they get to a bowl here, Jack?
I think so. Yeah, and this would still be somewhat of a successful season. I think. Yeah, this would be great if they can make it to a bowl. This it's tough, but
Right.
I still think they can beat Missouri. I mean, Missouri is probably going to be the more talented team, but no quarterback, and they're not beating Ole
Mhm.
Miss. This is the one you got to have. This Missouri game. That's going to be a great
Right.
game. But that's it's tough. It's tough. But I still think they win that.
Right.
But at Columbia, that's a tough game. That's that's really going to be it because I don't think they're going to beat the Rebels.
Mhm.
So we'll see what happens there. But yeah,
Right. And it's been all year for Mississippi State. They could have done a lot better, especially in what's kind of becoming the year of the underdog. I think you can kind of say that because, I mean, you look at where Indiana is, where Vanderbilt is. I mean, Jack, we're having a serious conversation about 2 group of 5 teams in the playoff. If that doesn't say this is a great year for underdogs, I don't know what
yeah,
does. Then what do you think about 4 loss teams? Now, there's some more ways. I mean, LSU. I mean, just a horrible combustion for them. I mean, a 4 loss team, they were projected to be in the playoffs at the beginning of the year. They
right.
were highest. Were they highest as number 2 in the
Yeah,
country? Like, they were super inflated. So, I mean, there's some ways you could go. I mean, crazy. But what are you thinking here for 4 loss teams, Jack?
yeah. I think LSU is probably where you go. That's probably the closest. I mean, this is
Mm-hmm.
Baylor's one. I like Baylor a lot. They're a good team, but yeah, I think I
Mm-hmm.
think I think LSU is going to beat Baylor though. Yeah, LSU is still really talented. They're just this team is just
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, just mismanaged. So yeah, I gotta go with them. And they have close losses against great teams. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that Texas A&M one wasn't close, but
Right.
the rest were. Yeah.
Right. I was thinking Cal here.
Oh, you're really on the couch right
I don't know. Maybe that's, I guess so. I don't know. But I mean, you look at their year so far, they went on the road and dominated Oregon State, and we know they're bad,
Minnesota.
but still, Cal dominated there. And then the Minnesota game and Texas Southern, like they started 3-0. It's just such an awkward game against San Diego State where they just fell so flat. And then they beat Boston College and they got dominated by Duke, but now they're kind of on a run where they beat UNC and then, I mean, lost in overtime to Virginia Tech and then win against Louisville in overtime. And they should have upset Virginia. So I guess I'm going Cal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Sweet.
I mean, they have 6 wins. They have 6 wins. That's better than any 4 loss team. So I
Yeah.
think I haven't checked all, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
might be.
Not bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. And now where you start to get in the territory of teams that could be actually ranked, you start to get out of kind of like the bottom feeders and get into the top end. What are you thinking for 3 loss teams?
You could go with teams like Tennessee or Missouri. Those Tennessee's
Mm,
probably where you go here because they're still so talented in their
right.
losses. Oklahoma, Alabama, and
Yeah.
Georgia. I really want to go Iowa here though because both of these.
Right. That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. Yeah.
Mm, I'll go with Tennessee just because I think if a couple like if they just make that field goal, you got to make that, or you don't allow that
Hmm.
fourth and long. That was so stupid. This season has gone, or
Right.
that pick six at the end of the half. Things could have gone against Alabama.
Hmm.
Those things could have been a different way, and this offense is still well, it was the best in the league or the best in the country, and now I don't think it is just because those
Hmm.
losses. I would pick Tennessee to beat Iowa. I would. I just think they're more talented than
Okay.
them. I know I'm an Iowa fan. We're both
Hmm.
Iowa, of course, but Tennessee, I think, is just a better
Hmm.
team.
Right. Yeah, I see how you're leaving personal biases out of that, but I won't. Give me the Iowa Hawkeyes. Best 3-loss team, Jack. And hey, if we lose to USC on the road this next week, they'll be the best 4-loss team. I don't care anymore. Give me Iowa. And I mean, we should have beat Oregon at home. They're number 7 in the country. We should have beat number 2 Indiana. There were some crucial mistakes. And I mean, you think about Tennessee, how they should have beat Georgia. Indiana's higher than them. They're undefeated. Iowa should have had that game and then should have beat Iowa State as well. And then that's it. Outside of that, they just kind of been killing teams. Killed UMass. I mean, that's not great. We just talked about UMass being a 10-loss team. But killed Wisconsin, killed Rutgers, sort of, in the fourth quarter, that is. Killed Minnesota, and then made some dumb mistakes. Probably should have killed Penn State, but still won. That's all that matters. So, yeah, give me Iowa. And, if they lose again, they're going to be the best 4-loss. They're going to be the best 5-loss. So give me Iowa there.
I know a lot of people there's some people that are still picking us to beat USC and make a run at the playoff.
I hope so.
There's still a lot that needs to happen for, we still need.
Right.
And you could get into this in Hawkeye State of Mind, but we probably need Nebraska to win enough where they're ranked at the end of the year, so we have another ranked win. But and there's a path. Another.
What do you mean?
I'm saying another, if we beat USC.
Right. Yeah. Oh, right. I see.
So,
because we don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, let's get one first.
There is still a path. It's really slim. I know it's 1%, but it's somehow possible. But USC, we just mentioned how good they are at home and how bad Midwest teams are going to the West Coast. So it's going to be a challenge. So we'll see.
Hey, Iowa, they did that Pac-12 game last year where feels like every team, they at least have one where they go cross-country. Iowa went to UCLA and played an UCLA team with an interim coach and found a way to lose. But we'll see what happens this year when they go to USC. I mean, I hope they win that one. Iowa, it's an outside shot, obviously. They have a chance for possibly 2 ranked wins. Who knows if that ends up happening, but Iowa, they've been pretty solid. And, I mean, they've just had some tough losses. I mean, number 2 and number 7 in terms of AP rankings, that's not terrible. So Iowa's still pretty solid, and I think in terms of 3-loss teams, I think they are the highest ranked. I was surprised they didn't really drop us too much in the CFP.
They really didn't.
Right. But, I mean, anyways, who do you think's the best? Yeah, right. Who do you think's the best 2-loss team? And we've been kind of saying Notre Dame every week. I mean, are you going to toss another team in there, or are you still thinking Notre Dame?
I think the closest you could say is Texas, I think. I know we've been kind of ranking them lower, but they have wins against those other two-loss teams like Oklahoma and Vanderbilt. So, but I would still pick Notre Dame to beat Texas. I really would. So yeah, it's Notre Dame for me again.
Right, same here. I mean, that's just what it is. It's Notre Dame. Yeah. These last 3 I feel like have been the same every time we do this. Or I feel like everything else kind of gets shaken up. But yeah, you got to go Notre Dame there. I mean, they have a ranked win now in USC, and they'll probably get another one against Pitt. I don't know. Maybe I'm jinxing them. Hey, I would like to jinx them. So Notre Dame's going to win. Right. Anyways, who do you think is going to be the best 1-loss team, though? We got a lot of great contenders here. Now, we've said Alabama for a while. I'm still saying Alabama. What are you feeling here?
Yeah, I guess Texas Tech is probably the closest, because I think Texas Tech probably is better than Georgia. I think Georgia has a better resume, but Texas Tech, I think, would probably – that's close. But I think Texas Tech's the closest 1-loss team to Alabama. But Alabama would still probably win that. I'll go Alabama again, yeah.
Right. I mean, they have the ranked wins to back them up. Didn't they play 4 ranked teams in a row and won every single one of them? And then they hit a trap game against South Carolina where they really should have lost, and then somehow get the touchdown, 2-point conversion. And then, I mean, South Carolina has a terrible fumble, and Alabama really got blessed with that. But yeah, Alabama's pretty solid. I think you definitely got to go there. And then undefeateds. Now we have 3 left. Now I still go Ohio State, and maybe for a few weeks, kind of the conversation where well, maybe you could put Indiana up there. I don't think you can say that now, even though I think I really appreciated that they were able to come back and have that type of performance against Penn State where they were really in a tough game. I don't think that bodes much confidence when you say, well, do you still think they have a chance against Ohio State? I think they do, but I don't think you can put anyone above Ohio State unless you make an argument Texas A&M. They've got ranked wins, but I go Ohio State here, Jack.
Yeah, I think the closest one you could say is Texas A&M. But Ohio State just really is
Mm-hmm.
just such a well-managed team, such a well-coached team. They really know how to
Oh, right.
conserve their
Yeah.
energy of the whole season. And just this is how you just stack up national championship. This is what Alabama did so well in the
Mm-hmm.
2010s. And just this is how you build that winning culture and just how you stay relevant. So yeah, like if Ohio State and Texas A&M played, I think Ohio State's winning that game. I think like even if
That'd be a great
it would
game.
be. Yeah, I think so too. I think that's the closest. You could say probably the closest to them. It's skill wise.
Mhm.
I guess Alabama and Indiana are close. Texas Tech is close,
Right.
but it's really Texas A&M and
Mhm.
Ohio State kind of versus everybody. They really, I guess. Well,
Right.
the closest Texas A&M even has close games against Arkansas though, so it really is like Ohio State against everyone else. But Ohio State really has not had
I know.
the hardest schedule. It's been on the easy side, I guess. So they really haven't played that much
Right.
competition. So
Right.
I guess we'll see against Michigan, but
Right.
I'm still taking Ohio State. I can't wait to see the CFP just to see how they do. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Because they're really
Right.
I mean last
And
year
if
in the
you
Rose
talk about
Bowl,
all
they
these
were just so fun
things,
to watch
right.
against
Right.
Oregon. I mean, we would thought that
Oh
Oregon
my
game
goodness.
because Oregon won the Big Ten championship. And because in the regular
Right.
season, they're just such a good. That's the thing about Oregon is they're a great regular season team, but when they get to the postseason, they just kind of fall apart, and that's kind of what they did last year in the Rose Bowl. So yeah,
Right. Hey, that's Miami for half of the regular
yeah,
season.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah,
Right. And I mean, I think you do have to go Ohio State. And when you're talking about all these other teams, Ohio State has backed it up the most recently with their national championship last year, and they beat several teams to do it when they hung that national championship. So I think you do got to go Ohio State there. And they don't really have any tough games. I mean, Indiana, Ohio State, I was really interested that they didn't lower Indiana in the CFP, Jack. So that's still possibly going to be a 1v2. I thought maybe it would be a 1v3 in the Big Ten championship because, I mean, Indiana felt like they would drop them. Maybe they will eventually drop them if Texas A&M gets that win over Texas. That's going to be a huge game. But that might still be a 1v2 in the Big Ten championship. But once again, got to go Ohio State for the best undefeateds. All right. And I mean, that was a really interesting week. And I mean, honestly, like we had the ranked matchups, like we had great games, but like we had so many trap games really pay off. And I'm really hoping we can have that type of week this next week because we only have two ranked matchups. Now we have a huge nightcap game, number 10 Texas going on the road at number 5 Georgia. I'll make sure to preview that one later in the week. And then Oklahoma, Alabama, and Notre Dame, Pittsburgh. And then you could even say Iowa, USC when it comes to the CFP rankings, but there's going to be a lot of really interesting games. I mean, Virginia's going to Duke. That's not a ranked matchup, but I mean, with all the hype that Duke's getting for some reason, that could be interesting. I mean, there's a ton of very interesting trap game scenarios, so it's really going to be interesting next week, Jack. But I mean, we just had a really great week of not only ranked games, but some really interesting trap game scenarios where some teams like Indiana rose to the heights that were needed, but then teams like Louisville and Virginia end up falling in those trap games. So it's a very interesting week, college football. I appreciate you coming on to talk about it, Jack.
of course, anytime for sure.
Yep, no problem. And I mean, college football, it really is an incredible sport. And I know the NFL is still popular. It's a lot more than college football. And I get that. But college football, there's something special about it. There's something special about the atmosphere, the elements. Like, look at we just had Oregon, Iowa in a Big Ten slugfest in a rainstorm. And you think like in 1816, that's normally like, oh, it's a pretty boring NFL game, but not here. It just means more in college football. Very awesome week. And I mean, the ranked matchups, the really interesting atmospheres, the bands, just everything across the board. And I don't mean to sound repetitive in these outros, but it's just really incredible with what college football is and just what it does for the sport of college football. It's like we get NFL because of college football. Like, this is where it starts. This is where we really, I mean, look at Jeremiah Smith. That guy is going to go crazy on Sundays. So, I mean, college football is so immense and deep and incredible. And I mean, we're talking about James Madison, who just moved up from FCS, having a great chance to make the playoff. That's the type of parity that I love. That's why, I mean, the NFL is getting their fair share of parity, but the parity in college football is so open-ended that kind of comes with the new playoff. And I'm really loving the fact that so many teams have a chance. I mean, they're saying 3-loss Iowa still has a chance to make a playoff run. So all in all, very interesting week of college football. And we've had some great weeks. And it was something interesting I had just seen from Josh Pate, where it felt like we were kind of towards the end of the season. I mean, as we're wrapping up, Like a lot of teams have even played 10 games, but he had said like just this past week, it was the midpoint of the college football season from when those final teams play for the national championship. So there's still a lot of season left, and we're going to continue to get some incredible ranked games as we get nearer and nearer to conference championship games and, of course, the college football playoff. This is the Ben Buzz. I'm Benny King, and thanks for tuning in.